Hello everybody, this is Andrew again with Garthakian Gaming with another video review this time. And what I have for you guys today is the new Warhammer 40K Chaos Codex for the 6th edition of 40K. So what we're going to be doing with this today is we're going to basically, I'm going to show you guys some of the new stuff that's in here. I'm not going to go over everything in detail. That would just take too long, and then you wouldn't really need to go out and buy the book. So we're going to look at some of the different changes that have been made, like major changes, the new layout for these books, because they're in a new layout. And then after that, I'll give you my thoughts on how Games Workshop has done with the presentation and with this new product. So let's go ahead and dive right in, take a look, and see what we've got in here. Okay, so here we have the cover of the new Chaos Codex, and immediately when you pick this up, you'll notice that all the lettering on here is raised, like the Warhammer logo and all the words. So raised, bumpy surface. It's pretty cool, and yep, it's hardback, just like the fantasy books are now. So if we open it up here, and let's just take a look. So you have your typical intro, table of contents. The first about 28 to 30 pages of this is all fluff. So we get like, this is how, basically, a little bit of story behind Chaos. This talks about the creation of actual space marines before some of them fell to Chaos, and then you have the Horus Heresy. So any of you who are familiar with 40K, you'll know what the Horus Heresy is, and if not, then this is a little way to get some background information on where Chaos Marines come from, what's the difference between Chaos Marines and the normal Space Marines that you see. So yeah, we got all kinds of fluff here. They got a little blurb about all these different legions, the most notable ones. Actually, you've got the 9 right here that turned against the Emperor, so they talk about all them. War Without End is just the war, like since the heresy up to present day, pretty much. Talks about that. Yeah, so just a whole bunch of stuff. They got this cool little table here, just shows you some of these successor chapters that were founded, and now the Chaos name that the chapter goes by, because they have fallen to Chaos. So for creating your own chapters kind of thing. Lots of new artwork in this book too. Like there's a picture of a Baden here. Actually, I don't think that's a Baden, because he's got this guy as an axe. Anyway, all kinds of new artwork. And then a timeline of the Long War, going all the way up to the most recent, which was Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade. Pretty close to the end of the 41st millennium. So, after that, we got awesome double page picture here. We get into actual rules. And so here's some of the just army rules in general. They talk about the Champion of Chaos rule. Anything with that basically has to accept and issue challenges whenever possible. And if a character with this rule kills an enemy character, whether it's a character or independent character, then, and whether it's in melee or with shooting, he then gets to roll on this Chaos Boon table. And on this table, there are a whole bunch of different buffs and things here. Let me see if I can get this to zoom in a little bit. There we go. Well, let's try getting a little closer. Okay, you still can't quite make out. Here, I can hold that up a bit. You can see there's a whole bunch of different things on here, like it's possible that you actually just end up turning into a Chaos Spawn, which obviously, that's not a good thing. But you can get some things like Warp Frenzy or +1 attack, or Fragment of Immortality, where you gain Eternal Warrior. And even way down here, Dark Apotheosis, so your guy can become a Demon Prince. And this rule actually affects just a cultist champion. So even a cultist champion has a chance that by killing an enemy character, if you roll a 6 and a 5 or a 6 and a 6, he turns into a Demon Prince partway through the game. So all kinds of interesting stuff on here. They also have their own Warlord traits. So you can take Warlord traits out of the book, the main rule book, or out of this book here. I will say the ones in here feel a lot more chaosy and just seem all around better than the ones out of the main rule book. There's also a designer's note here that talks about when anything references Space Marines. That includes Space Marines, Black Templar, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Grey Knights, and Space Wolves. Because there are some things in here that give you hatred or preferred enemy to Space Marines. So that's kind of a good thing to put in there too. So these are just the general army rules for everything in your army. Okay, so let me just zoom it back out a bit. Okay, so what we have here is the rules for the different marks. I'll go ahead and go over these. Everyone's usually pretty interested in this. Mark of Khorne now gives you rage and counterattack. Mark of Nurgle gives you +1 toughness, and then if you're a psyker, you have to take 1 power from the discipline of Nurgle. Mark of Tzeentch improves your invulnerable save to +1. If you don't already have an invulnerable save, you now have a 6+ invulnerable save, and you have to take a power from the discipline of Tzeentch. And Mark of Slaanesh is +1 initiative, and also you have to take a psychic power from the discipline of Slaanesh. Over here, just the different unit entries, like Chaos Lord, Sorcerer, Demon Prince, which Demon Prince have all kinds of new rules now. They also have different rules depending on what type of demon they are. So if you buy a Demon Prince, a Mark of Khorne, he becomes a Demon of Khorne. He has Furious Charge in addition to the Mark's abilities already, and he has hatred for Demons of Slaanesh, because Khorne and Slaanesh don't get along, and then Nurgle and Tzeentch don't get along either. So you get stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Demon of Tzeentch hates Nurgle, and then rerolls all saving throw results of 1. That's pretty awesome. Nurgle has Shrouded, Slow and Purposeful, and Slaanesh has Fleet and Rending, and when they run, he runs an additional 3 inches. So Slaanesh one is really good. But yeah, you got the Warpsmith now, so he's kind of like a Tech Marine turned to Chaos. The Dark Apostle, which is like a Chaplain that's turned to Chaos. The regular Chaos Marines, some Bikers, Cultists, Possessed. Oh yeah, Cultists. Everyone wants to see the Cultists. So there you go. Some Cultist action. See right there? Cultist Champion has Champion of Chaos. So if he kills an enemy character, he can become a Demon Prince. Just, some of the old stuff. Still the same. Terminators spawn. Obliterators. Obliterators can now. They added Assault Cannon to their warp options, and a new unit called the Mutilators, which are close combat obliterators that every turn pick one of these 5 pairs of weapons, and that's what they have for that round of combat. But they have to change from each round to the next. You can't have the same weapon 2 rounds in a row. Same thing with the Obliterators. Obliterators are markable now as well, so are the Mutilators. And now we go into the Specialist Legions. So, your Khorne Berserkers, your Thousand Sons, Plague Marines, and Noise Marines. And there are a couple of different ways you can make these units troops now instead of elites, which I'll show you in a second. You got your old Raptors and a new assault unit called Warp Talons that are a little more expensive. Stat-wise, they're identical, but they all come equipped with pairs of Lightning Claws, and this ability called Warp Flame Strike, which basically means after they deep strike, enemy units within 6 inches become blind because the warp energy coming off from when they appear. So these are new, the Forge Fiends and the Mauler Fiends. Very similar to a Dreadnought. I mean, they are a walker. The Forge Fiend is shooty, and the Mauler Fiend is close combat oriented. They did change the autocannons in here. They have a Hades autocannon, which is strength 8 instead of 7, and it's heavy 4 instead of 2. And then this guy also has an option for an ectoplasma cannon, which is a strength 8 plasma cannon. Here's the Helldrake, the new flyer, Defiler, the different Chaos vehicles. Like I said, I'm just going to go through this pretty quick, give you guys just kind of an overview of what's in here. The Hellbrute, which is basically their Dreadnoughts now. But yet another walker. So the Hellbrute and the Defiler and the 2 different Fiend vehicles are all walkers now. So they've got several walker options. Special characters. They didn't take any special characters away. They didn't add any either. So you still have a Baden right here, being all awesome. He counts as having all 4 marks, so that's pretty sweet. And he's Eternal Warrior, and then there's his sword, and there's his talons. Here we have Huron Blackheart. It's not too bad. He has a random psychic power every turn, and he has like a familiar that does some extra stuff in close combat. Here we have Karn the Betrayer. Pretty much the same. Him and the unit he's in, though, do deny the Witch on a 2+. So that's their anti-psyker ability. And you can't instant death him with a force weapon. Right, but still hits on a 2+, and 1's hit his own guys. Here we have Aramon. Big thing about Aramon is he's a psyker at mastery level 4, and he can use 3 warp fire powers in the same shooting phase, according to his black staff. Over here is Typhus. Typhus now lets you take plague zombies, and that's any Chaos Cultist units. It's not just one unit, it's any units in the army with Typhus you can nominate as plague zombies. They don't have to be, you get the option, but it's no cost to upgrade them, and basically it makes them fearless with feel no pain and slow and purposeful, and they have no shooting attack after that. They just have basic close combat weapons. A single close combat weapon. So they're just really hard to kill. Well, not really hard, but harder. So, all right, Lucius. Basically, he's got Duelist Pride, so his attack characteristic is equal to the weapon skill of his opponent now. So that can be pretty big. Fabius Bile still gets to do Enhanced Warriors, but it's only 1 Chaos Space Marine unit. You don't pay extra points for it. It gives them +1 attack and Fearless. Or +1 strength, I'm sorry, not attack. So Fearless and +1 strength. That's what he does. So it's still be pretty cool to see him with a bunch of cultists, just for like a themed army kind of thing. And then we have the armory. So you talk about all the different weapons. They do have new shooting attacks in here. Oh, chain axes now are AP4. So that's pretty cool. New guns like the Bale Flamer is a strength 6 AP3 flamer with Soul Blaze and Torrent. So you can measure out 12 inches and then drop the template. Here's that Hades autocannon. If you can, let me hold this book up here. There you go. So you can see Hades autocannon. Here's the old Reaper autocannon. So compared, this one is twin linked, but still, though the Hades also causes pinning. And then Ectoplasma cannon, strength 8 plasma cannon, gets hot just like a plasma cannon. This is all war gear, new war gear options, armor, vehicle upgrades, chaos artifacts. So these are going to be like demon weapons. So all kinds of new stuff there. Here's your psychic powers for Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. And they work like the psychic power disciplines do out of the main rulebook now. So you'll randomly generate a power, and then you can choose to default down to the Primaris power if you would like. Alright, so here's a picture, showcases some of the new models. So you can see the Helldrake and the Forge Fiend, a bunch of cultists down here, Hellbrute, Chaos Champion, and that's a Dark Apostle. Alright. And then there's just some painted models, which we've seen that kind of stuff before. Let's just get right to the meat of this right here. So they call this the Slaves to Darkness. And here's your war gear list over here with all the point costs for it. Now, here is what I immediately noticed looking at this. This looks like a fantasy book, the way the new fantasy books are laid out. So it lists the the unit name, stat line, and options. So again, very familiar to anyone who plays fantasy. Looks almost identical in that respect. But here's Abaddon's special rule now. He lets you take chosen as troops instead of elites. So that's pretty big. Hold this up again. For Karn, you can take Berserkers as troops, Armon, Thousand Sons as troops, Typhus, Plague Marines as troops, and Lucius, Noise Marines as troops. Now, if you take a Chaos Lord and give him a mark of Khorne, Nurgle, or Slaanesh, that's another way to take those different elite units as troops. And if you wanted to take Thousand Sons as troops without taking Armon, you then have to take a Sorcerer with the mark of Tzeentch. So you can still give a Chaos Lord the mark of Tzeentch, but he doesn't let you take the Thousand Sons as troops, because he is not a master of the rubrique, so he doesn't know how to control them, whereas a sorcerer with the mark of Tzeentch would. Alright, and so then you got Demon Prince, Warp Smith, Dark Apostle. This right here is your Chaos Space Marine entry section. That is a lot of options. They start at 13 points apiece. And then you can go from there and just really kit these guys out for your play style, however you want to play them. You can take up to 20-man units like you could before. They start at 5-man. So tons of options here. Down here are the cultists. Cultists start as a 10-man unit, can go up to a 35-man unit. They are 4 points apiece. They come with an auto pistol, close combat weapon, and a 6+ armor save. So really cheap. All right, so let's just go ahead and get through the rest of this here really quick, 'cause this is getting a little long. So here's your different elites, chosen and possessed. And then we've got Terminators, Hellbrute, Mutilator, Berserkers, Thousand Sons, Plague Marines, Noise Marines. Rhinos as dedicated transports. Bikers, Spawn, Raptors, Warp Talons, and Helldrakes are all fast attacks. And for heavy support, you have Havocs, Obliterators, Defilers, Forge Fiend, Mauler Fiend, Land Raider, Vindicator, Predator. And then this I thought was really cool back here. This is a reference page, and it opens up like this to show you all kinds of different stuff, like Obliterator weapons, Mutilator weapons, the different mutations for Possessed and for or this is Possessed, this is for Chaos Spawn, this is for Crazed on your Dreadnought, your different psychic powers down here. So if you don't have the cards for this, you can just open up to this right here, and it shows you everything you need to know in a nutshell. And if you need to go into more detail, they tell you right here, page 29. So, yeah, really cool thing they did at the back of this book here with all these references and special rules in one condensed place. So, that is cover to cover the new Chaos Codex. So now I'm going to give you guys a little bit of my thoughts on the book. So that's the new Chaos Codex. I have to admit I'm very impressed and quite pleased with the quality of this new book. Some of the things that I really like are the new layout, how it feels a lot like one of the fantasy army books. Excuse me. It's laid out pretty much the same way, so anyone who's familiar with fantasy, just going to 40K, the book is in the same layout. And anyone who plays both games will immediately pick up on that. I like how they've gone back to where you can play an army of one of the 4 major legions and really feel like you're playing, that army, like an All Thousand Sun army or World Eaters. That's pretty cool. Some of the other things that I really liked about this book was the addition of cultists. I mean, that now lets you play some of those cultist heavy armies like Word Bearers. You can really get a sense of playing a real Word Bearer army. And even better is now using the allied rules. You can ally in some demons with this, and then it just really goes back, reminds me of the book that we had back in 3rd edition when it had demons and Chaos Marines in it, and you just could take all kinds of stuff and play some really fun things. Another thing I noticed in here that I thought was interesting was there's no wargear limit anymore for like your Chaos Lord. So you can buy as much as you want and spend as much as you want on the guy. Make him pretty expensive. So lots of cool changes. I'm really pleased with it. It really gives me a lot of hope for the 6th edition and the major change that the game has taken. If all of the books follow this pattern and continue to be this good, then I don't see there being any reason to not continue to play Warhammer 40K. Only the naysayers pretty much will stop playing due to the rules changes from 6th into 6th edition. So if you're a Chaos player and you were wondering if this book was really going to be all that you'd hoped it would be, I would say yes. The one major downside that I have to this is the pricing. This book is $50 for a codex. When the fantasy books went to $44, I thought that was pretty extreme. And this one, $50, it's pretty high. I mean, you do get a lot of good stuff in here. There's like almost 30 pages of nothing but fluff material. And then just a whole lot of extra like tables and things. A lot of good reference material in here too. But $50 is still a little high to be asking for a codex, especially for the people who like to just buy codexes and don't necessarily play the army. That way they get a sense of what they're up against, know thine enemy kind of thing. I can read your codex, know what your army does without having to just play against it repeatedly to figure it out. So that's it for this video. I hope you all found it very informative, and I will see you all next time. So have a good day.